In the Palace of White Ice, in a small meeting room, two people were seated on a table, in the middle of the room. One was insistently looking down at the table, while the other one was staring daggers into him. The tension was high. While they were silently sitting, a third person, a blue-haired maid, entered the room and broke the tension. Rimuru-sama, we had some tiramisu left, so I thought you guests could also enjoy it if it's okay with you. Hinata, who was now in control of Chloe's body, averted her eyes from Rimuru and had a look of disbelief in her eyes. When she saw that it was really tiramisu, her eyes twitched and her glares towards Rimuru got even colder. But Rain, good idea. Thank you. And by the way, it's still tiramisu. Rain, after getting told the same thing twice now, flushed right out of embarrassment. She felt flustered because her beloved lord had praised her, and also because he didn't scold her for saying it wrong the second time. What a forgiving lord I have. Rain, you can leave now, we are going to have a private talk I guess, Rimuru said, but sounded less enthusiastic about it, because of the cold glares the other party was giving him. Are you sure, Rimuru-sama? I can detect clear hostility from this individual over there. Not that I doubt your strength, my lord, I'm sure you could just eliminate her with one flick of your finger like you did with our last intruders. It's just you can count on me to deal with annoying bugs. Rain proudly stated while throwing a disgusted look at the newly arrived girl, like she was looking at a pebble on the street. No need to worry, Rain-chan, you've helped me a lot today. Why don't you go and rest for a bit till I'm done here? Rain, who was offered to do her third favorite thing, rest, immediately had sparkles in her eyes. The first thing was, of course, serving her lord, and the second thing was painting. Maybe I could make a portrait of my lord. That'll for sure surprise him. With that, Rain made a slight bow and left the room. As soon as she left, the temperature in the room sank. Hinata. Hinata didn't respond. For some reason, she was staring at the tiramisu brought to her, but she was still angry. Hinata. Shut up. Well, I'm here, thrown back into the past, trapped in this body. You're here, safe and sound. And not just safe and sound, but as I can see, you're enjoying your stay in Guy Crimson's castle nonetheless. Hinata was trembling with anger. She was killed, fused with Chloe, and sent into the past. How could he, who should be back in the present, be here and enjoy his time? Hinata, I know you're confused, but let me. Suddenly, Hinata stood up from her chair and rushed right to Rimuru, grabbing him by his collar and shaking him violently. Listen here, you little shit. I managed to keep my cool in the present time, no matter what nonsensical thing you did, but no, you've done it. I don't need any explanation. You traveled through time, I guess. I don't need any explanation. Disregarding everything and just coming here, maybe I should just kill you here and right now, one less problem for the future. Ciel, help me. She won't listen to me. What can I do to calm her down? To say that Ciel was angry was an understatement. Ciel had enough time to understand the concept of emotions. After her master had named her, she evolved into the Mana Ciel and gained emotions. At first, she was overwhelmed with these new feelings, but living with her master, she managed to sort her thoughts and understand this new phenomenon. But after so many years, in this room, she, for the first time, felt a new emotion. Anger. She, who should never have known this emotion, felt anger. And she, who should never be angered, was angered. How dare this low-life paladin touch and even threaten my master's life? I will kill her. I will kill her. No, that's not enough, I will erase her from existence. Just when she was in her thoughts, her master asked her for help. Her master asked her for help. Master, leave it to me. With this confirmation, she took over control of her master's body. And with that, the nightmare began for Hinata. While Hinata was violently shaking Rimuru, she suddenly realized a change in Rimuru's expression. It turned into pure hatred and disgust. His beautiful golden eyes turned crimson red. Before Hinata could react to the sudden change, she was pressed to the ground by the massive amount of vehicles and killing intent released by Rimuru, who was now controlled by Ciel. The whole castle, no, the whole continent was shaking under the anger of Ciel. You filthy little paladin dared to threaten my master and even touch him. I will erase you from existence for this sin. Saying Hinata was scared was an understatement. She was horrified. Even Chloe, who was inside Hinata, was horrified by this sudden turn of events. Her sensei, who was loving and kind, was now sending pure waves of killing intent, and it was directed at her, or rather Hinata. Then she realized what her sensei said. My master. Isn't that sensei? His eye color changed, and this person talked about sensei as if he were a different person. What is going on? Am I going to die? Ciel, in her anger, slowly made her way to Hinata, who was crouching on the floor while violently shaking and touching her forehead. Suddenly, a white orb left Chloe's body and landed in Ciel's hand. Despite Chloe's affection for her master, she is dear to him. I wouldn't want to hurt her, Ciel said, and out of thin air, a new body was formed. Bones, organs, and muscles were formed, and after the process was finished, the new body fell to the ground. It was Hinata's original body. Ciel looked at the soul in her hand in disgust, and fused it with the newly formed body. Hinata's body glowed for a while, and when the glow disappeared, Hinata opened her eyes. Now, she was even more frightened. She realized that she was not in Chloe's body anymore. But when she realized her current situation, she again began to tremble. Hinata's new body, unlike Chloe's, wasn't enhanced. She was a normal human, unlike Chloe, who was a true hero. The meticulous and culling intent released by Ciel now nearly suffocated her. So, little paladin, you said you wanted to kill my master or IGHT. I wasn't serious, I didn't mean it. But you nevertheless touched my master violently, didn't you? Ciel approached Hinata slowly. Hinata couldn't move, her legs were shaking like butter. Rimuru, who was shocked at the display in front of him, tried to calm Ciel down, but she didn't hear him because of her anger. Ciel, calm down. You need to calm down. Before Ciel could reach Hinata, Ciel flinched at the sudden shout of her master. She then realized that her master was panicking. Did I go too far? No, she threatened master, and he asked for help. No matter who, nobody threatens my master. Ciel, calm down, you scared her enough. Any more and you going to break her. Let me handle it from here on. Ciel, after hearing her master's words, calmed down and retracted the meticulous she released and threw one last look at Hinata, who was still trembling and sobbing. If you dare to threaten my master again, I'll make sure to erase your existence without leaving a chance for reincarnation, don't forget that. With her last warning spoken, Ciel released her control, and Rimuru's eyes turned golden again. As soon as Ciel retracted her aura, everyone present in the castle rushed to the room. They weren't able to move from their spot because of the pressure till now. When they entered the room, they saw Rimuru standing above an unfamiliar-looking girl and a masked girl from before. When they saw that Rimuru was safe and sound, they relaxed for a bit, but were confused nonetheless. "Oh Rimuru, what was that insane pressure? Was it that girl or you?" Guy asked. He couldn't identify it because Rimuru always completely erases his presence and doesn't leak any vehicles. Even I couldn't lift a finger. What was that? Veldanava also asked. An aura capable of suppressing a true dragon was nothing to laugh at. In Veldanava's eyes, it was comparable to Veldanava's. What they didn't know was that Ciel held back a lot to not damage the castle or hurt her master's new friends. I lost control for a second, I apologize, everyone. It's nothing to worry about, really, Rimuru said and bowed a little to make up for the inconveniences he caused them. Ciel, of course, was displeased by her master's display, but didn't voice her opinion. But we'll talk later, okay? I'm sorry. I have to talk with them first. When I'm done, I will give some explanation of what just happened. Not just that, but you'll also explain what that pressure was. I never felt anything like that, Guy added. Alright. I'll give some proper explanation later. Could you please leave us alone for a moment? They reluctantly nodded and left the room one by one, and the only ones left behind were Velgrand and Rain. Rimuru, call me if you need anything, Velgrand said and left, leaving only Rain behind. Rimuru-sama, should I dispose of them? They seem to have angered you. Rain threw an angry look at Chloe and Hinata. No? Don't worry, Rain. It was a misunderstanding. I have to talk with her. I'll call you if I need something, alright? Alright, Rimuru-sama. I shall leave now. And with that, Rain also left the room, rather reluctantly. With just the three of them left in the room, Rimuru walked up to the two girls who were lying on the ground and offered both of them a hand to help them stand up. Chloe took his hand, but Hinata, still traumatized from Ciel's outburst, flinched. I'm sorry for my partner's outburst. She is, rather possessive and tends to overreact. So please let's start over again and let me give some explanations. Hinata reluctantly stretched her hand out, accepted Rimuru's help and stood up. Rimuru created another chair for her, and she sat on it. After everyone was seated, Rimuru let out a sigh and started his explanation. So, let me explain why and how I'm here. And that's how I got here. Rimuru just finished explaining everything, from the point where he was bored in his office, and Ciel's suggestion of creating a parallel world and turning back its time. But as he finished his explanation, he was met with silence from both Chloe and Hinata, who still looked traumatized from her first encounter with Ciel. This silence kept going for several minutes, and Rimuru started to feel worried. Ciel, is it possible that they doesn't believe me? No, master. It seems that they're either processing it or trying to apprehend what you just told them. Now that I think of it, these are Chloe and Hinata from the original timeline. The original ones would know that it's not that hard of a thing to pull for me, but these, especially Chloe, are on their journey to become stronger and save me. How sweet she is. Sensei. Yes, Chloe. Does that mean the war? Yup, everything ended. In the end, I managed to kill Ivorage, and we achieved world peace. Everyone's safe and sound, even Yuuki. You know, after Jahal's attack we thought he was dead, but in the final fight, he made a good entrance and helped us against the angels. He died in the end, but as a reward for him, I revived him. He is now married to Kigali and has even children. The empire you were so worried about is also a peaceful country now, with Masayuki as the emperor. Even though he doesn't like it that much, I give him a lot of manga to keep him happy. Lightning hero Masayuki. So he was that strong. Hinata finally decided to speak up. Oh right, she died while fighting Granbell. She doesn't know much about Masayuki. Not really. He has strong skills, but he isn't that much of a fighter. I offered him to teach him personally to cure my boredom. I mean to help him as a friend, but he declined, saying that he rather would live a peaceful life. Sensei, does that mean you're safe? You won't die, am I hearing this right? Chloe, who had teary eyes, asked with a trembling voice. This girl went through a lot, didn't she? Yes, little Chloe, I'm safe and sound. As for dying, if I had stayed in my office any longer, I would have died from boredom. Maybe my parallel existence is experiencing that right now. Before Rimuru could finish, Chloe jumped over the table and hugged Rimuru, and they both fell from the chair. Sensei, I'm so glad you're safe, I'm so glad, Chloe muttered in Rimuru's chest while she was sobbing. Rimuru couldn't help but pat his beloved student's head and return her hug. He knew how much she had to endure, how many time loops she had to go through just to save him. Chloe was acting like a child around Rimuru, but after witnessing how she was around during this time, acting as the nameless hero and looking for a way to save him, he realized how much she has grown up. No hardships for you anymore, Chloe. Chloe, still sobbing in Rimuru's chest, let out a smile, but didn't let go of Rimuru. While Rimuru and Chloe were on the ground, Hinata felt troubled. After hearing what Rimuru had told her, she felt happy that the world had become something she always wished for. But she was worried because she couldn't feel her skills anymore, none of it. A usurper and mathematician, which was used to name Chrono, weren't there. So, Chloe, what are you going to do now? I know in previous loops you tried to do everything again and again to ensure that the outcome was the same, but that's not a problem this time. I mean, I changed this timeline a lot by just becoming a demon lord around this time. What are your plans now? I want to stay with you, Sensei, Chloe said while strengthening her grip around Rimuru. Right now that's difficult because I first have to talk with Milim when she wakes up and settle everything here. I don't know if Guy will be okay with you staying here, you know. But I promise I'll visit you soon, is that alright? Chloe, at first hesitant, thought about it for a while, but then she nodded with a smile. I'll be waiting, Sensei. If you break your promise, she said while wearing a scary smile. It sent shivers down Rimuru's spine. She gives the same vibes as Shuna when angry. Ciel, make sure that I don't forget about my promise. As you wish. After convincing Chloe to let go of him so that they could sit again, Rimuru now turned his attention to Hinata, who for some reason looked troubled. What happened, Hinata? You're still as ignorant as ever, Rimuru. First, you steal my power, and then before Hinata could continue, she realized that Rimuru's right eye had a glint of red in it for a moment, and she stopped, panicked that it might be her end as she continued with whatever she wanted to say. What do you mean, steal your powers? I don't have my powers anymore, since I was separated from Chloe. Rimuru was perplexed. He didn't dot, but then he remembered what Ciel did well in control. Ciel? Did you have to go that far? But master, she has. I know Ciel, I know. But you know about Hinata Tsundere's behavior well enough. And even if she wants to, she can't kill me. So can you give her powers back and wait, let's answer first. Hinata, I can grant you your powers and your saint body back. But first, what do you want to do? You could either live in Chloe's body, like in previous loops Chloe made her live with your own. If you choose the second option, your relationships with others will change, like with Luminous, the Holy Knights, and so on. What do you want to do? Hinata, hearing this, had no trouble deciding. I want to stay in my own body. It's better than being trapped in someone else's body. And besides, I don't want to be trapped in Chloe's body when she hugs you and all. I still don't like you. Hinata said, the last part with a blush on her face. Sensei, Hinata is at Tsundere, you know. She was always nagging about you, but was worried when I told her about my time loops and how you died. Chloe said, looking mockingly at Hinata. I don't like him, stop telling lies. Hinata yelled in embarrassment and threw a cold glare at Chloe. But Chloe just replied by stretching out her tongue, which angered Hinata even more. Before they could continue, Rimuru intervened. Come on, now, you two. Hinata, then I shall grant you your powers again. It will maybe feel weird, but bear with it. He transported her into his imaginary space, where Ciel would handle the necessary procedure. After it was finished, Hinata came back, with her powers regained and even stronger than before. Thank you, I guess. She said but didn't look directly into his eyes. No problem, I can't leave humanity's defender defenseless and powerless, right? Hinata nodded. Chloe had a smug look on her face, for some reason. So, will you return to Luminous? Yes, I guess. We've been out for some time, and she'll freak out if we don't return soon. Great, now that I have a body, I can endure her obsession even on my own, Hinata added, with a pained expression. I can put you back in Chloe if you want to, Rimuru replied jokingly, but stopped as he realized Hinata's serious expression. Sensei, can I tell Luminous about you? I told her about you from the future, but now that you're here. Oh, no problem, I think she already heard about me. You know, they announced my name as the new Demon Lord and all. But don't tell her I'm from the future. You could maybe tell her that an anomaly happened, and I reincarnated here this time. Sensei, you're terrible at making up lies. But I don't think she would care at all. I mean, it's the luminous we are talking about. All she cares about are her roses, and Chloe Hinata indifferently added. Alright then, I'll leave it to you. I'll come by soon to visit you. Maybe I'll even invite Luminous to join the demon lords while I'm there. Do you think that's a good idea? Before Hinata could finish, Chloe butted in. Yes, Sensei. I'll be waiting for you. Alright, then let me send you back to, where? Rimuru asked because he didn't know if they first wanted to go somewhere else or directly to Luminous. To Luminous' place, if possible, Sensei. Alright, hear you. Wait, Rimuru. What is it, Hinata? Hinata looked embarrassed and was facing the ground. She hesitantly opened her mouth to make her request. Do you have some food from your original timeline you could give us? I miss it already. Rimuru, who was expecting far worse, let out a laugh before nodding, pulled out some food from his imaginary space, and handed it over to Hinata. Here you go. Thank you, I guess. So, then I'll see you both soon. Take care. Take care, Sensei. And with that, Rimuru teleported both of them to Lumina's castle, and let out a sigh. Now I have to think about what to tell the others. After the nerve-wracking conversation, or rather, confrontation with Chloe and Hinata, Rimuru slumped back into his chair. This was more stressful than he thought it would be. To top that off, the others were also expecting an explanation. This was too much stress for Rimuru, but also in a sense exciting. This whole situation, despite being nerve-wracking and stressful, was the whole reason he traveled back in time. No paperwork, but instead, pure action. Such a situation couldn't, objectively speaking, be considered an event fully packed with action, but to Rimuru, who knew how, especially Velzard and Velgrand could be, it was exciting and a bit scary. But that only added to the excitement, of course. After he mentally prepared himself, he rose from his chair and made his way upstairs. Seems like Milim has awoken, I can sense her on the balcony with the others. When he arrived at the scene, he was tackled by a small dragon as soon as he was spotted. This dragon was of course Milim's baby dragon. He jumped on Rimuru and cuddled with him. Rimuru, surprised by this unexpected affection, just let it be and patted the dragon's head. Seems like you miss me, Kai. Yes, I miss you too. You did well protecting Milim while she was asleep. Good job. Kai. No need to be modest here, little one, you did well. Kai. I know, but you're going to grow strong enough to protect Milim for sure. Don't let these events affect you that much. I'm sure Milim could train you, once she gets the hang of her powers, and I also could assist you, if you want to. To that, the baby dragon looked at Rimuru, with sparkles in his eyes. Kai. Alright, it's settled then. While Rimuru was, in a way, conversing with the baby dragon, everyone present was baffled, except Milim for some reason. They looked at Rimuru, suspiciously, with demanding eyes. Rimuru, realizing this, was curious as to why they were shocked this time before realizing what he, did. Oh shit. After so many years hanging out with Milim and Gaia, I got the hang of it, and could understand Gaia to some level, but this shouldn't be possible for someone who just met him 3 days ago. How could I forget that? In the original timeline, Gaia, after some years, developed his true dragon core with the help of Rimuru. As he was still a baby, he only let out his signature Kaiju, which Rimuru sorted out as baby sounds. But after he witnessed how Milim conversed with Gaia casually, he couldn't help but ask how she could understand him. The answer delivered by her left Rimuru baffled again. The reason was simply Milim ears. Rimuru didn't even question it, after all, he witnessed everything from Milim eyes to even Milim hairs. It was easier to accept it than trying to understand it. After many years of witnessing the conversations between Milim and Gaia, he could also converse with him. But unlike with Milim, it was more like a mother understanding the noises her baby made. He guessed, and it was mostly correct. Back to the present time, nobody knew, or better, should know about all of this. That's why they had questioning looks on their faces. Boy Rimuru, don't tell me you understand that dragon. As Rimuru suspected, Gaia was the first to speak up. And this time, he demanded answers. How can I get out of this? I can't say that I kind of got used to it. Neither can I use the excuse that I'm kind of a true dragon myself. What to do. While Rimuru was trying to find an excuse, suddenly an idea popped up in his mind. He looked over at Milim, who was watching him curiously, and decided to answer. It's because of my Rimuru ears. It helps me to understand nearly every monster and the like. He was met with silence. They looked dumbfounded and astounded at the same time. Master. I know what you think, Ciel, but think about it. Whenever Milim did something crazy, she just gave her eyes and limbs names, and everyone kind of accepted it. I think I should also make use of it, don't you think? Ciel was half convinced by this explanation, but accepted it either way. It was much better than the usual excuses he came up with. The one to break the silence was, surprisingly, Milim. She jumped up and stared at Rimuru, with sparkles in her eyes. She ran up to him and started to excitedly jump up and down in front of him. Rimuru ears Noda. Really Noda? I have my Milim ears too, Noda. She was excited to meet someone who had the same abnormalities as her. Rimuru, knowing this, patted her head and replied with a smile. Oh really? I didn't know there was someone else with this kind of ability. But do you also have Rimuru eyes? Rimuru asked with a smug expression on his face. You have Rimuru eyes, Noda. Really, I have Milim eyes too, Noda. She answered, clearly excited that he also shared this specialty. Who? We're much alike as I see. What do you mean, you want to become my bestie? Bestie Noda. Milim asked while tilting her head curiously. Bestie is like friends, but the best of friends, you know. The best of all friends. Milim comprehended his words for a bit, but then she punched the air above her head excitedly before shouting. Rimuru and I are besties from now on, Noda. Kai. The baby dragon looked sad to be left out. But after realizing this, Milim corrected her statement in a panicked voice. From today onward, Rimuru, my friend, and I are besties. The baby dragon joined her joy and also excitedly flew above their heads. Say Milim, isn't it weird that your friend has no name? Don't you want to name him? Milim looked down on the floor after hearing this. And Velzard and Guy said it's dangerous, Noda. She looked sad about it. Rimuru thought about it for a while. This Milim is still not used to her power. It would indeed be dangerous for her. Maybe I should offer to name him. Say Milim, if you want to, I can name him for you. She looked into his eyes, concerned. No, Noda. I don't want my bestie to get hurt, Noda. It's dangerous, Noda. Oh, don't worry about it, I'm good at naming, you know. I'll be careful. What do you say? She looked troubled, not wanting her newfound bestie to get hurt because of her wish. But hearing his reasoning, she kind of felt relieved and decided to trust him. If you want to, Noda. Do you have a name in mind? A name? I don't know. A name. How about Gaia? Rimuru just suggested the name she came up with by herself last time. He didn't want to take credit for it, but couldn't wait thousands of years before she came up with it either. Milim's concerns were swept away like they weren't even there in the first place after hearing this. She again had sparkles in her eyes, like when she had tasted honey for the first time. Gaia, Noda. That's so cool, Noda. Rimuru smiled at a reply. Despite her childish and reckless behavior, he liked Milim as a friend. At first, he called her bestie because he feared she would go on a rampage otherwise, but after so many years spent together, they truly became besties and spent a lot of time together. Shuna even said she was the one who affected Rimuru and was responsible for him turning into the prankster he was. From today onward, your name shall be Gaia, Rimuru said, in a friendly tone. Gaia started to glow and even grew by a fair bit, before landing in Milim's arms and falling asleep. Seems like he needs some sleep after getting a name. Gaia, Noda, thank you, Rimuru, Noda. She said, with tears in her eyes. After going through so much, she found a bestie. While Rimuru patted her head again to console her, the others were still shocked at the display in front of them. It just gets crazier the more we see your doings, Rimuru, were the only words Guy could mutter. After Milim had calmed down, they also took a seat. Gaia was resting on Milim's lap while letting silent snarls from time to time. For some reason, Velgrin was staring daggers into Milim. Milim of course didn't realize that because she was too busy patting the sleeping Guy's head. Rimuru silently sipped on his tea and waited for someone to speak up. The silence was broken when Guy finally decided to speak up. Rimuru, what was that? What was what, Guy? Rimuru asked, despite knowing exactly what Guy was referring to. Don't play dumb. They outburst from before. Even we couldn't move. What happened in that room? It was just a misunderstanding. But we sorted everything out, and it's alright now, no need to worry, Rimuru assured them. But none of them looked assured at all. So he nearly destroyed the palace because of a misunderstanding was what they all thought. Rimuru read the mood correctly and tried to assure them again. I know what you all are thinking, but be assured, it won't happen again. She is my student, you know. I would never have harmed her. And besides, I started to find a liking to you all, so I would never put you in harm's way too. So please believe me. A demon lord has a hero as his apprentice. Guy asked, interested. Oh, so you notice. Yes, she is important to me and my only student as of now. I like being a teacher, you know, Rimuru responded, with a smug expression on his face. Interesting. As long as she doesn't cause me trouble, I'm fine with it. There's another thing I have to ask. What do you plan on doing? Rimuru, hearing this, went silent for a moment. It was too early to build Tempest, and he didn't want to deal with an unsealed door. He was sure that the current Veldora would just try to fight him. He had promised Chloe to visit her, and wanted to see what Lumina's destroyed castle looked like. Furthermore, he was also curious about the Cardinal world, and how it is as of now. Maybe. Is it okay for you if I stay here? I will travel from time to time, but I don't want my territory for now. I will, of course, teach Misery new recipes as compensation. This time it was Guy who went silent. Although it could be bothersome if he lashes out again like that here again, I could at least keep an eye on him. The dishes he made are also not like anything I had before. It's boring here anyway, maybe I can even find a new sparring partner in him. After Guy sorted out his thoughts, he replied with a smile. Yeah, sure, do what you want. It's gotten livelier here since you appeared. Just don't cause me any trouble. And what do you mean by travels? Thank you, and hey. I'm a pacifist, you know. I wouldn't go around destroying everything. And I will have to train my student as I promised her, that's what I meant by travel. Maybe I can even find a new demon lord or two to join us, who knows. To this, Kai let out a small laugh. Velgrin was now pouting and looking away, while Velzard looked at her, rather pitifully. Ciel, why is Velgrin acting like she does? It seems odd to me. Master, only this time I'll help you with that. Oh, finally. So what is it? Master, since we arrived here, why were you so gentle and friendly with everyone? What kind of question is that? Because I know TH. Exactly. That's the problem. You might know them from the original timeline, but that's not the case for them. To them, your friendly advances came over as flirting, and some women have already fallen for you. What? Don't tell me, Valgrand. That seems to be the case. She is not the only one. In your denseness you didn't realize it, but, as I said, there are other women as well. Hey. That's not nice. But to think, Valgrand. What about Rudra? They haven't been together for too long, so it seems like she hasn't developed a romantic interest in him. Ciel. Rimuru realized for some reason how displeased Ciel was about all of this. She always said she was his first wife, and he just let it be, but was she jealous? Ciel, are you jealous? Rimuru teasingly asked. HMPF. I'm Master's first wife, why should I be? But that doesn't mean that I will let anyone I don't deem worthy of Master get near him. Boy, are you my partner or my overprotective brother? And deem worthy. You never deemed someone worthy ever. There might be one or two persons who could be anyway. Now is not the time to talk about this, Master. Be careful not to accidentally seduce everyone around you, or it might get troublesome. Alright, I'll keep that in mind. With that, the conversation between Rimuru and Ciel ended, and Rimuru turned his attention to the outside world again. Rimuru, can I also come with you, Noda? Milim asked, with puppy eyes. I could teach her how to behave early on, and she could be a good training partner for Chloe, maybe. I don't want her to be lonely anyway, so why not? Yeah, sure, Milim, why not? Milim looked happy and continued to happily pat Gaia's head again. Velgrin's pout rather grew. I felt Michael in Rudra when he was here. If she returns, she'll be controlled after some time. Maybe she wants to stay here too. Velgrin-san, do you want to accompany me too? Or do you have to return to the Empire? Velgrin's eyes lit for a moment, but she instantly regained her composure and had an indifferent expression on her face. What makes you believe I would want to travel with you? Alright then, I apologize for my impudence, Velgrin-san. Then I'll travel with Milim, Gaia, and Rain. Velgrin hearing this panicked before half shouting. Wait. When did I say I don't want to? I just asked a question. But if you insist that much, I might tag along. Ciel, are we sure that this is Velgrin and not Veldora in disguise? That is Velgrin for sure. Veldora is currently sparring with Daggerel. Oh really? We will have to visit Daggerel soon too, good that you mentioned it. I would be happy to have you along, Velgrin-san, Rimuru replied, with a gentle smile. Velgrin blushed a little, but quickly lowered her head to hide it. Guy meanwhile was dumbfounded and had a look of disbelief on his face. Did Rimuru just get Velgrin on his side? She looks rather charmed by him. Poor Rudra, your strongest pawn is gone. Velzard was also surprised. She couldn't convince Velgrin to leave Rudra's side, but this Rimuru just did it in a matter of a few days. Ramrus was rather indifferent about it, and happily chatted with Rain about the cookies she made, and Milim was happy because she would travel with her bestie and her aunt. Before I forget, Rimuru. You talk like you knew some people to join us. Who do you have in mind? I don't know if they will join, but they're strong enough to join. One would be Daggerel, and the other one would be Illumina's Valentine. The giant and the vampire queen, Guy muttered, lost in his thoughts. Rimuru didn't mention Dino because he would eventually join them soon by himself, and he was kind of a spy. He didn't want to bring a spy along personally. Yes, they could be fit. But they don't get along pretty well, as I heard. It would be difficult to convince both of them. Guy said. Oh, don't worry about that. I think that's the exact reason why they would join in the first place, you know. If one joins, the other will follow. If you say so. Then I'll leave it to you to convince them. Although Rimuru knew that Guy was pushing the chore on Rimuru, he had now a reason to visit both of them. With that, his first destination was set. Milim, Velgrin-san, and Rain, we will set off in a few days if it's okay with all of you. They all nodded happily, and Rimuru too was excited. Let's meet my old friends. Hey everyone, I hope you're doing well. While reading the manga, I liked Veldora's journal and thought about adding Rain's journal to this. But first, I wanted to ask what you think about that. It would consist of Rain's pile of things that happened in her inner monologues. I hope you enjoy it so far, have a nice day.